There's a dresser sitting in a farmhouse in Vermont that was built in 1923. It has survived 3 families, 2 floods, and 1 house fire that took everything else in that room. It still opens and closes perfectly. Now go to IKEA. Buy the most expensive dresser they sell. Give it 5 years. I'm not saying this to be nostalgic. I'm saying this because something fundamentally changed in how furniture is made. And most people have no idea it happened. Your grandfather's table didn't survive. Decades because he was lucky. It survived because the wood it was made from was completely different from anything you can buy at a lumberyard today. And the way it was joined together? Those techniques didn't just disappear by accident. They were replaced, on purpose, by something cheaper to produce and far more profitable to sell. The global furniture market is worth hundreds of billions of dollars a year. And the single biggest innovation driving that number is not better design. It's not better materials. It's furniture that fails faster. Studies on furniture lifespan consistently show that the average piece bought today lasts between 7 and 15 years. Furniture built before 1940. Researchers can't establish an average lifespan because too much of it is still in use. That's not a coincidence. That's a business model. So what actually changed? What did they take away from us? That's exactly what this video is about. Because once you understand what made old furniture last, the wood, the joinery, the finish, you start to see modern furniture for exactly what it is. Let's start with the wood itself, because this is where everything begins. Before the mid-20th century, most furniture was built from what's called old-growth timber. These were trees that had been growing for 100, 200, sometimes 300 years before they were cut. When a tree grows that slowly, the grain becomes incredibly tight, sometimes 20 to 30 rings per inch, compared to just 6 or 7 in fast-grown wood. Today, tight grain means the wood is denser, harder, more resistant to warping, cracking, and moisture. It also means the heartwood, the deep inner core of the tree, has fully developed. Heartwood is naturally rot-resistant and harder than the outer sapwood. Old furniture was built almost entirely from heartwood. Today, the lumber industry operates on fast growth cycles. Trees harvested in 15 to 30 years. The grain is wide and loose. The wood is softer, lighter, and loaded with sapwood that deteriorates far faster. Same species, completely different material. That oak dining table your great-grandmother had? The oak in it is not the same oak you'd buy at a hardware store today. Not even close. Now let's talk about joinery, because this is the part most people never think about. Old furniture was built using techniques that have existed for thousands of years. Mortise and tenon joints, dovetail joints, hand-cut dados. These connections don't rely on glue or screws alone to hold. They rely on geometry. The pieces interlock. They move with the wood as it expands and contracts with temperature and humidity, rather than fighting against it. A well-cut mortise and tenon joint on a chair. It distributes stress across the entire joint, not a single point. A dovetail on a drawer mechanically locks against the pulling force every time you open it. What holds your flat-pack furniture together right now? A camlock, a wooden dowel, and some hope. One bad move, one hard knock, and that joint is finished. Traditional joiners understood something that modern manufacturers choose to ignore. Wood is alive. It moves, and your joinery has to move with it. The last piece of the puzzle is the finish. Old furniture was finished with shellac, linseed oil, and hand-rubbed waxes. These finishes penetrate the wood and become part of it. Here's the key thing about them. When they wear down, you simply reapply. Sand lightly, add another coat, and the furniture is restored. It keeps going indefinitely. Modern furniture uses polyurethane coatings, essentially liquid plastic that sits on top of the wood like a hard shell. Now, that shell is tough while it's intact, but when it chips, cracks, or peels, and with everyday use, it always does, you can't just touch it up. You have to sand the entire surface back to bare wood and start over. Most people don't do that. They buy new furniture, which is exactly what the industry wants you to do. So here's what actually happened. Old-growth timber was depleted during the Industrial Revolution. By the 1940s, most of it was gone. Fast-growth lumber became the standard. Power tools replaced hand tools. Speed replaced precision. Industrial finishes replaced traditional ones. And somewhere in that transition, the knowledge of how to build things that last, the techniques, the joinery, the plans, stopped being passed down. Not because nobody wanted to learn, because nobody was teaching it anymore. The craftsmen who knew this stuff, most of them are gone, and what they knew largely walked out the door with them. But here's what I find genuinely interesting. Those techniques still exist. The Mortise and Tenon, the Dovetail, the hand-rubbed finish. None of it is complicated once someone shows you exactly how it's done, with real measurements, real steps, and no gaps in the instructions. The difference between furniture that lasts 7 years and furniture that lasts a century isn't talent. It isn't expensive tools. It's having a plan that was actually built and tested before you ever touched a piece of wood. Most people don't fail at woodworking because they're not skilled enough. They fail because they're working from instructions that were never finished. If this video changed the way you see the furniture in your house, good. That was the point. And if it made you want to actually build something that will outlast you, I left a link in the comments. It's a woodworking plan library. Over 16,000 projects, all tested in a real workshop before they're published. Complete plans, exact measurements, step by step. The kind of resource that would have kept a lot of that old knowledge alive. Take a look if you're curious. Whether you click it or not, now you know why that old dresser is still standing, and why the one you bought last year probably won't be. Think about that next time you're at the furniture store.